Welcome everyone to this Green Jobs Fair. My name is Olivier Capin. I'm with the Canadian Institute for Energy Training, and along with our various co-hosts, I'm very delighted to have you all here today. We've got a packed 1-hour session for you, from which you'll hear from a bunch of different speakers that are representing a number of different industries around energy efficiency. One of the things that we're aiming to do is to give you each ample time to connect and chat with each of our panelists. But before we get started, just to give us a bit of context about the energy efficiency sector in general, I'd like to bring in Corey Diamond, who is the Executive Director of Efficiency Canada. And one of the things Corey does on a daily basis is talk about energy efficiency, where the industry is going on a pan-national basis. So I think he's going to be a great voice to put us in the context of what we're looking at, both in terms of the opportunities that currently exist in energy efficiency and why this is a dynamic, interesting industry to join. Corey?
Great, thanks Olivier. And in my instructions on what I should say in my 2 minutes, I was told that I'm the hype man. So I'm going to hype up the energy efficiency sector and this as a career choice in a number of ways, and then pass it off to the experts and the people, the rest of the people on the call to get into the details. But the main thing I wanted to talk through is basically 3 things. The first is that if you're thinking of energy efficiency as a potential career pathway for yourself, now is the best time in its history that you could ever come into this sector. I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm not that old. And I've never seen momentum like this from a policy perspective. If you think about it, energy efficiency is 40% of the world's commitments on climate change. If we're going to meet the Paris Agreement as a globe, we have to, there's no pathway to doing that without aggressive energy efficiency. And in order to do that, it takes a lot of people to do that work. In Canada, we have over 436,000 people employed in this sector, but we need tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of more people to come into the sector and do the work so that we can meet those commitments. So number one reason to come into this and think about this as a career path is momentum. The second thing is energy efficiency is a purpose-filled and passionate career choice. It really does improve people's lives. And I've been on calls like this where I have seen people break down and cry, explaining and describing the types of impact they have every day, sitting at a kitchen table, helping people who have traditionally been worried about which bills they're going to have to pay and not have that worry anymore and have that burden completely lifted from them. So this is the type of career where you see that direct impact every single day, and the purpose that you get from it, you get to take that home with you every day at the end of the day. And the third thing is, people who are employed in the energy efficiency sector, and you'll meet a number of them today, are people who are on the front lines of the climate fight. And now more than ever, we need to be acting on every major climate solution immediately. And we need to be ramping up, if not tripling, our activities on energy efficiency to meet the aggressive climate targets that not only our government has set, but the world has set. And now is the time to join that climate fight. So if you're interested in joining a sector that has extremely fast momentum, that has policy support for it across all levels of government, if you want a passion and purpose-filled career at the end of the day when you finish and clock out, and if you are interested in being on the front lines of the climate fight and addressing real climate solutions, this is the place, and we're here with open arms to welcome you. So, so enjoy this session, enjoy and connect with other people on the call, connect to experts and mentors. There are lots of really good, fun people here who are willing to help. And that's all I'll say. Enjoy the session, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Corey. Thanks for those inspirational words. And you know, it really is It really is in line with what we always say about energy efficiency, which is it's the quickest, fastest way to get towards action on climate change. Next, I'd like to bring in our first panelist, Renu Tahlan, who's the Vice President of Sales and Operations and also Strategic Initiatives with Great Northern Installation. Renu, to you.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen because I have a little slide deck here to get us started. Okay, can someone give me a thumbs up if you can see it perfectly?
Not yet.
There we go.
No, yeah, good to go.
There we go. Okay, so my name is Renu Tahlan. I run sales operations and strategic initiatives with Great Northern Installation. And I wanted to start off by giving a little bit of a background of how I entered the energy efficiency space. So to start, I actually did my master's in environment sustainability, and I'll never forget some of the sentiments that would come across on what the energy efficiency or what the sustainable market was. And even from that shift over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of movement and momentum, not just from corporate social responsibility, but actually to the lives of homeowners, to marginalized and sensitive groups, and also to big, massive capital projects. So when I started on my journey, did my master's, and out of it, I had the great opportunity to work with hydro utilities, and I had a few jobs in that space where a lot of the focus was around conservation demand management. So how we can have energy savings with certain upgrades, from lightings to industrial projects like chiller upgrades, that's going to really reduce our load on the energy grid. From there, I moved into building science. So now you get into the space from energy efficiency to what is the building envelope, and how do we right size proper mechanical systems, and what is the shift in our marketplace, which kind of brings us to market transformation. You know, working with Efficiency Canada, there's been a lot of projects from net zero homes, net zero buildings, climate action, and emergencies. And it really takes our whole industry as a group to come together, from sub-trades to your engineering firms, to really provide those solutions and cost effectiveness. So the reason why I have market transformation here is that's really tying into the green jobs and the current opportunities. I think we've all been watching the news and hearing the news releases related to programs that are out there to support homeowners, sensitive groups, but also to really support big, massive projects. And I'm really excited to be in this space right now, because it's really nice to see that shift from all the different marketplaces and how we're all coming together, because we're literally going to create over the next 10 to 20 years a revamped marketplace. And we have to create partners that are going to be a part of that to start to see the big changes that we need to meet our climate action goals. So I'm going to give a quick background on Great Northern Installation. Great Northern Installation has been in the industry for about 40 years. It started with 2 entrepreneurs, and it was sold a few times since then. We have 2 lines of business. So one is more commercial focused, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And then we also have a residential focus. And the residential focus carries through from homeowners doing renovations to also new homes that builders are creating for affordability, or also for new subdivisions and gentrification. We have a lot of production trucks. We have 90 across the board, and we have 300 employees. Our head office is in Woodstock, and that's where I'm located. So if anybody is in the area, if you know where Woodstock is, we're between London and Toronto, feel free to stop by. I'd love to connect and provide some further context, or go for a coffee as things open up. So Great Northern, we're really taking this big shift in the industry. We're currently in Ontario, and over time we'll likely expand past that. But our big shift is really towards sustainability. So what is our products and services that we provide? How can we provide different solutions to customers and also be the installers of choice? Because a big part in the marketplace of any shift is really making sure that we have capable and trained crew. Also, not only do our engineers need to be advising on major projects and what they require, but we also need to have the task force. We need to have our workforce ready to service that type of work. So we've spent a lot of time on developing a training center to help new people coming into the industry, and to also support on quality assurance. So when I mentioned what type of marketplaces that we're a part of, I just wanted to give a quick idea of when you drive around city to city, you kind of see of all the new construction projects, and oh, that's a homeowner. What types of trades are required for that? So when you drive around and you see a subdivision going up, well, they're going to need multiple trades and skilled crews. So of course, we service the residential new construction work. We also service the retrofit workplace for homeowners, where a lot of these programs that are coming in, like the Greener Homes program, which was just launched and providing incentive for upgrades. We have to also be one of those trusted advisors, not an energy advisor. We want to be a trusted partner that you can ask questions on what's best for your home so that it lines up with the type of upgrades you're doing. On the commercial side, we do a lot of new construction work, and we also do retrofit work. So in the commercial new construction, that can be anything from what we call ICI in the marketplace, so industrial, commercial, institutional, and then also the residential sector and agricultural sector. So I'm going to give a quick update on our sister company, which is Barrier Sciences Group, so we can pass it on to the next person. Barrier Sciences Group is essentially an independent organization that's licensed with Natural Resources Canada, who's qualified in order to provide energy assessments for homeowners during renovation or new construction. And this is usually, I'm not sure if everybody's heard of it, but you have a blower door and you have a trusted advisor that understands building science and energy efficiency and comes in, sets up the blower door, does a pre-assessment, allows you to do renovations, and then does a post-assessment. And you receive this really lovely report, which is through EnerGuide and a label that explains how well you're performing and what type of upgrades you should do. So I wanted to stop there because I want to leave some leading questions for when we have a breakout room, but I really look forward to talking with you about different opportunities from the construction aspect or the energy advisor and energy efficiency role. And I really hope that it's an industry that you want to be a part of as we continue to shape the market.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Renu. And thanks especially to be with us during this very busy time. I'm sure it's with the launch of this program, it's a very, very busy time for a Great Northern Installation. Next, we have Brandon Doxtator, who's the Environment and Consultation Coordinator for the Oneida Nation of the Thames. There,
all right,
Brandon,
thank you.
Thank you.
Sagoli Swagweg, Brandon Doxtator, Nyungets, Ogwali Ni Wagi Delode, Onyataag Ngwehuene. So I just said hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Doxtator. I'm Bear Clan from the Oneida Nation of the Thames, which is located just south of London, Ontario. I work for my community as the Environment and Consultation Coordinator. But before I get into this, I just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge the 215 children found in the residential school at Kamloops. And also to the tragedy that just happened close to our home here in London, Ontario, regarding the Muslim family that was targeted by hate crime. And so just giving a moment to reflect on that for everyone and send our prayers and our strengths to those families and to those communities. Thank you. So I just wanted to talk today. I'm just going to share my screen. My internet communication is a little bit unstable today, but we're going to get through this. So, as I mentioned, my name is Brandon Doxtator. I'm from the Oneida Nation of the Thames, and I also, so in my work as the Environment and Consultation Coordinator, it's a really unique position, and we are talking about battling climate change and increasing biodiversity in our communities. And so it's a really unique position in that I get to work and do a lot of that, but also pushed was this idea of getting into solar panels and getting into the energy market, self-sustainability for our community. A business called Oneida Ltd, or the Oneida Energy Company. And so through that company, we've applied for various grants, and part of that was a $2.4 million small community funds proposal that got approved through the Ontario government that allowed us to build 750 kilowatts of energy through a microgrid project for our community. So through OKK Ltd, this project and Jazz Solar, we move forward on engineering through site assessments and looking at what is feasible within our community. And so what we found was that a lot of our buildings were a little bit not up to code on certain things. So we needed to build a ground mount site and put up a community center carport, which was really interesting. So through this $2.4 million grant, our investment was $614,000. The other remaining funds came from the federal and provincial governments. And so because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was a little bit delayed. And so there was a lot of challenges with the pre-construction phase of things. But by March of this year, we got rolling. We were able to train 10 community members in solar panel installation and solar theory, get them out onto site, building the ground mount and the community center rooftop sites there, employing various community members on the trenching and other aspects of construction. And so total, this is an investment will provide up to $3.7 million over 30 years and a savings of $100,000 plus every year. And so it's a really unique opportunity, amazing opportunity, and the first start for our community to get into energy conservation. So this is our board here, including our chief, Adrian Christian, myself as a secretary and counselor, and VP Jason Cornelius. So the three of us form the board, do a lot of the administrative stuff, along with Jazz Solar Solutions, who has been really involved in Indigenous communities getting solar panels and self-sustainability through energy. Some of the projects that they've worked on include in Wiki, Tagamon, and Lakmanok First Nation. You can check out some of the work there at earthkeepers.me to kind of keep updated with some of that work. And so this is a little bit of an outdated presentation here, but we also just hired a community energy champion, someone who's going to be managing and operating these solar panels and providing more opportunities for our communities and for other Indigenous communities to get involved in solar microgrid projects. And so they're hired on for 3 years through an IESO grant. The one thing I just wanted to mention was this community center carport here. This was a really cool addition to the project that wasn't in the original scope. And so it was a $200,000 grant through IESO that we got to do innovative projects. And so this community center carport, because we don't have as much land to develop and we couldn't put a lot of the stuff on roofs, it was decided to put this carport in, protecting, if elders want to pull in there, protect them from the elements during the winter time or when it's raining. And it'll generate 40 kilowatts that would go into a battery at the community center. And so this battery would then feed all the loads at the community center. So if the hydro grid were ever to be knocked off or the world were to ever end, our community center would still have some functionality there. And so that was a really cool piece of it. The other part is that we're currently putting in electric car chargers there as well. So it would hopefully increase community interest in getting electric cars. So that'll be really fun. But that's my presentation, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Brendan. And you'll have a chance to chat with Brendan a bit in one of the private breakout rooms. Now I'd like to go over to Greg Nakonecznyj. Greg, I hope I got that as correctly as possible. He's the technical sales and conceptual design lead at CNTNR, specifically for the Greater St. Catharines and Niagara metropolitan region. Greg.
Thank you for getting the name so close to accurate.
Great.
Most people just forget it, so I appreciate that. So yeah, hi, I'm Greg Nakonecznyj. I'm the technical sales lead for Container. We just removed all the vowels from the word because we want to do things a little faster. And we specialize in modular building solutions utilizing shipping containers as the main structural component in a large, basically on a manufacturing process to deliver energy efficient homes far quicker than you would conventionally. So my journey started out while I was in college at Fanshawe. I went for architectural technology and engineering, and one of the things that kept sticking in my mind quite a bit was why the construction industry is so inefficient, why it's so slow, energy intensive, wasteful. Why is the construction industry like this? And I started to put together these ideas and ideas centered around manufacturing. Why are we doing that in construction? So when I graduated in 2017, I founded a company called Freight Living Solutions, which I actually have one of my old presentations. I've pulled some pieces out from those to show you guys today. And I founded this company based with the idea that I could set up a factory and I could start producing high quality, affordable housing at a far lower market rate, and introduce a whole ton of efficient modular technology, which would lower construction costs, as well as increasing the energy efficiency and saving people money in the long run. And it's funny going back through these presentations, because I look at how far I've evolved from this starting idea where no one was going to give some kid out of college $50 million to do this, to where I am now. So I did this for about a year. And then after Freight essentially fell under because I couldn't get that funding and I couldn't sign contracts, I ended up working at various architecture and engineering firms throughout Southwestern Ontario, both on a consulting basis and as an employee basis. And I did project management on the side, helping with energy efficient renovations, as well as some minor house construction. Then in late 2018, I was headhunted by Ellis Dawn, which is the largest P3 contractor in Canada currently, to help them start out their new division, which is ED Modular, their new modular construction division. And essentially what I did is help them choose modular technology, develop designs and work with clients, and help them develop their 300,000 square foot facility in Stony Creek, where they'd start manufacturing steel structures using vector block technology. It was an incredible time. And then when the pandemic hit in 2020, I was headhunted further and shifted to Container, which is a very new company. It's only 2 years old. It was founded by two gentlemen out of Alberta, John and Adam, who I work with directly. And they come from a developing background, and they were struggling to get buildings in the ground. They're struggling with the time and the money, and the lack of progress is always made. So they started developing an idea, well, how do we deliver housing faster? And they settled on modular construction using shipping containers. So I joined the team back in July of last year as the design manager and helped to get the design department up and running. And recently, I shifted into a completely client-focused position as the technical sales lead and conceptual designer, working with clients to figure out what their ideas are, what they need, helping them with their pro formas, and working with the cities in order to move their projects forward. So Container, as I said, we removed vowels because we want to do things faster, we want to do things cheaper, and we want to do things greener, and we want to do with that exceptionally high quality that you can only get in a manufacturing environment. So I just pulled some of these from our investor deck to show you guys. But essentially the idea is if you can do something faster, you save a lot of energy and you save a lot of money. For developers, that means a lot. When you have to finance a building process over, say, 2 to 3 years, which is what your conventional construction will cost you, the amount of money you spend on the loan of that money is extensive. If you can cut that down, even by as little as 50%, the amount of savings you have are astounding, which means a developer can go on to do more of what they do best, which is build more housing, which we desperately, desperately need. But what it also means is that you're not spending as much energy to put up that building. Think of how many generators or heavy pieces of equipment or trucks are needed to deliver material to site that takes 2 to 3 years to build. It's a lot of energy. One of the other benefits of our product, and we're still working through a lot of the numbers because we're on generation 2.5 of our modular system using shipping containers, but we're on average 30% more efficient than your average home right off the bat. Wood frame construction can't touch us on the energy efficiency front. That comes down to your building envelope being way more airtight against air vapor intrusion as well as energy leakage. We use spray foam actually, which is really interesting. The Renu's on here. We do that all in factory, so all our buildings are insulated on the outside, creating an incredibly dense thermal barrier with very little thermal bridging. Additionally, we're moving away almost entirely from using timber in any of our projects. We want trees in the ground absorbing carbon. And on average, an average 1,200 square foot home, we save as many as 50 trees And compared to wood frame modular, we save as much as 80 trees per home. So there's an excessive amount of reduction in material usage when you reuse shipping containers as well as move to lighter gauge steels. Additionally, because we produce in a manufacturing environment, our wastage is almost negligible. Your average construction site has somewhere in the range of a 27 to 33% wastage rate on material, which means roughly 30% of the materials that show up to site are going to get thrown in the dumpster. Usually they're not sorted, they're just thrown in a dumpster and taken to a landfill. An excessive amount of that is actually wood cut off too, which is annoying. So our wastage rate is below 2% at the factory. We're aiming for, by the end of the year, we're going to be less than 1% on that as well. And as I mentioned before, because we use upcycled shipping containers, we reduce the amount of new steel or even new concrete that's required for a building, both of which have intensively high energy usage in their production and recycling, as well as in concrete's example, incredibly high CO2 production in its curing process. So that's what we're aiming for. We want to produce a lot of affordable housing very quickly, very efficiently, and we want to do it without further damaging the environment. And we want to constantly aim to improve the environment as we go as well. That's basically all I have on the presentation. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. There's so much I want to talk about. I'm high energy, and I was trying to keep myself from rambling too much. So looking forward to talking to you.
Thanks, Greg, and thanks for a number of good examples of innovation in this sector. It's wonderful to see. Dennis German is next. He is the president of German Solar Corporation, and he'll be our final presenter before I hand it over to Marianne, and we'll get involved in some of the group discussions just after that. Dennis, over to you.
Thank you, Corey. I hope my my PDF works, but I'll start sharing my screen now. See if I get this right. Okay. While that screen is loading up, my name is, as Corey mentioned, my name is Dennis German. Do we all see that now?
It's just loading, Dennis. Now we can, it's loading.
We ran into this problem before too, I think, unfortunately.
Still loading.
Seems to be doing a bit of a cycle problem here. Anybody with any technical ideas here?
I think Dennis, if you can get it up, we'll maybe we'll just go without it, and you can describe it as best as possible.
Okay, let's see here. This is, try one more time.
Dennis, one thing you could try is if you go to share your screen in advanced options, there's an option to share a portion of your screen. You could see if that might work. It's using a bit less data.
Okay, I tried that. I don't, unfortunately, I don't get that. Well, sorry, folks, I don't have my presentation I can show you with sharing for some reason here, but I'll walk through the presentation as best I can.
And Dennis, maybe after you can also add it to the chat, so then perhaps people can see it that way.
Another problem is having too many things open at once on your computer.
We are a bit tight on time, Dennis, so I'm just going to encourage you to get started with whatever you can, and we'll keep things moving.
Okay. All right, I'll just dive into it then. My name's Dennis German. My company is German Solar Corporation. We first started this company in early 2000. My training, I was an environmental geoscientist in the early days, and over the course of my profession, my profession evolved towards renewable energy. My passion has always been about the climate and the environment, and what we can do as a society to do better when it comes to the environment and curbing climate change. Solar energy was the next logical step for me. And in early 2000, I formed a company called German Solar Corporation. And since that time, we've built a little over 20 megawatts of solar projects. And I think you can see the image behind me right now. This is an example of one of the projects that we have built throughout southwestern Ontario. This is a solar parking structure. And the benefits of solar are many. And although my focus was environmentally in the beginning, we've seen the industry evolve over time to a point where it's economic benefit as well. We know that the cost of energy in Ontario is escalating at a rate of 4.25% per year on average. And solar energy is one of the only forms of energy that have come down in price and cost. And the reality today is that solar energy can be generated for a lower cost than what we pay on our grid now. And the energy that we see on our grid emits roughly 40 grams of CO2 equivalent per every kilowatt hour that we consume, just because of the form of generation that we have, be it nuclear, natural gas, and so on. Solar energy emits zero emissions. So there's an immediate benefit to including solar energy to our grid generation in this province and elsewhere globally. So in combating climate change and reducing emissions, there's no silver bullet. Energy efficiency is critical. Demand side management is critical. Improving our building technology and enhancing our ability to reduce emissions from the way we build is important. And adding solar into that equation is also a key ingredient to solving the puzzle of climate change. So I had some great pictures to show you on some other projects we've done as well, but I can share that as mentioned previously after this session if necessary, or if anyone likes. The job growth in this industry is set to really explode. Globally, solar industry has grown at 40% per year on average over the last 20 years. In the United States, they're expecting to see a 10 to 15 times growth over and above current numbers over the next 10 years. And we've heard from others that the government, mostly the federal government, has created some programs to help stimulate renewable energies and other energy efficiency measures in the building industry and elsewhere in this province and across the country. So these programs are going to help propel the industry. It's going to mean that we need more people to help drive the industry and to help contribute to building the industry. So we're very optimistic about the future. In the solar industry, it's been up and down over the years, and depending on the winds of political change, they can have a significant impact on how we do things. So I think as a society, we are moving in the right direction. I think we will continue to grow in Ontario, and I'm very optimistic about the opportunities and the job growth that we can see in this industry to help us add more solar energy to our grid generation and cut some costs and reduce some CO2 emissions. So my apologies for not having the technology working on my side. I'm getting old, I guess, but with that, I'll conclude, and I look forward to getting into the breakout session.
Thank you, Dennis. And yeah, I did notice a few people put in the chat that they would love to see your presentation. If you can share it in the chat, that would be wonderful. Next, I would like to introduce, there she is, Marianne Griffith. Marianne is the Director of Programs at the London Environmental Network. And she's just going to give us a bit more information. As you would have noticed from this session, we're specifically focusing on some of the opportunities in energy efficiency in Southern Ontario. So she'll give us a bit more of a regional context for energy efficiency, including some of the directions of jobs in the region rather, and also how COVID has affected the region and where things are going. Marianne, over to you.
Hello. As you mentioned, my name is Marianne Griffith, and I am the Director of Programs for the London Environmental Network. I do work in energy efficiency as well. I'm a certified energy auditor and am in training for residential energy advising as well. And I am obviously working for the London Environmental Network. We are a nonprofit organization. We just got charitable status, and we represent what people traditionally think of as green jobs. You know, tree planting, cycling advocates, nature conservatories, wildlife management, etc. But we're also seeing a big shift into energy efficiency. So I just wanted to highlight that today. And why are we talking about transitioning to green jobs? I'm going to use London as an example, but I think it spreads well into other parts of our region. Our employment rate has significantly increased due to COVID, and it wasn't great to begin with. So we're at about 8.2%, and this is expected to increase in the coming months as we see accommodation and food service businesses failing. We've got a lot of expected office vacancy increasing and demand for affordable housing on the rise. We feel that a green recovery is crucial because folks are spending more time at their home. And we can see from the incentives that are coming up that folks are interested in energy efficiency and renovating in general. So we see a lot of room in trades. Vacant office buildings are going to be needing to be transitioned, and we're hoping that that will be done in an efficient manner and to comply with municipal, federal, and United Nations commitments to carbon reduction. That would be the expectation as well. And we're also seeing a lot of manufacturers transition to a lower carbon economy as the standards are increasing to do business with them. We hope in our work, we do, like I said, have a lot of traditional green jobs. We represent over 40 nonprofit organizations that are directly involved in the environmental sector. And these are, like I mentioned, kind of the traditional jobs that one would think of in nonprofit and in environmentalism. But we wanted to highlight today these are the programs that we run. The two largest ones on the bottom are Green Economy London and Greener Homes London. And these are the programs where we're seeing a significant shift in the jobs that are available and in demand right now. Green Economy London is a business sustainability program, and we're seeing the need for sustainability managers, energy managers, local manufacturers of goods, sustainable tourism and experience-based tourism as people are shifting their travel expectations and accommodations to be localized, and low impact designers, landscapers, and builders for those building transitions that I was speaking of, and also for things like flood mitigation practices through low impact development. In Greener Homes London, which is our residential sustainability program that's in development, as you've probably heard through Greener Homes, the federal incentive, residential energy advisors are in high demand. We're looking at retrofit contractors needing to increase, specifically around air source heat pumps and electrification measures, and then solar and PV sales, as solar is being incentivized again through the federal incentive. As an example of the business sector, these folks are all members of our specific program in London, and they're all looking at carbon reduction strategies. So you can see just by the uptake that we've had on our program that these jobs are in demand. Through Greener Homes London on the residential side, we're looking again at energy advisors, HVAC specialists, solar sales and trades increasing in the next few years. I wanted to point out that while we are London specific, there are at least 19 other communities across Southwestern Ontario hosting programming that is very similar to ours, and these are some examples of those. And if you have any questions or you'd like to stay in touch, you can reach out to us directly through the information there. So I hope you're inspired to look more seriously at energy efficiency and green jobs in general. Have fun in your break-ins.
Thank you very much, Marianne. And now we'll get over to the breakouts. Just a quick note on that. Each of the rooms will be named after the speakers. And so therefore, you can all attend the room for the speaker that's of greatest interest to you. And of course, you can also switch rooms. So again, there will be one room named after Renu, another named after Brendan, Greg, and Dennis. And I believe you'll have, maybe Kirsten can confirm, but I think you'll have about 10 minutes per breakout room.